Yeah, let's get into the main events here today. And we're going to start with the older film a little bit, which is Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Forgot who directed this one. I know it wasn't Jason Reitman. So if you could fact check that for me, Jose, that's something I probably should have done before the show. And I just completely forgot the name. I had it in my head and just
Oh
completely
yeah,
lost it.
Gil Kennan.
Gil Cannon. So unlike Ghostbusters Afterlife, this movie's predecessor, this one is directed by Gil Cannon, and this is a very it's I don't want to say it's like a different take because like Afterlife was already kind of a different take, also feeling very much close to the original Ghostbusters, like it was trying to capture that magic again. And this one is capturing a little bit of that magic, but also I would say that this one's a little bit more of a faster paced sort of take on the franchise and a faster paced entry, if that makes sense. And we're pretty much just going to continue with seeing the dynamic between Paul Rudd's character with McKenna Grace and Finn Wolfhard and trying to build that family foundation, but also adding some new family members to the mix, which would be, Dan Aykroyd and then Bill Murray's Venkman. So that's where the story takes place and where it unfolds. And the family's been ghost busting, so to speak, for a while at this point, and that was, I think, a very interesting way to go. Takes us back to the city just like the original Ghostbusters film. So the question is it any good? For the most part, I mean, I gotta say, I know that critics are kind of like not hot on this. Audience is a lot more hot on this. I'm somewhere in between the two. I definitely had fun with this movie. I had a blast with it, actually. Yeah, I liked it a lot, so to speak. I do have my issues, but I did like it a lot. Like, I'm not hating on this thing like I've seen a lot of people do. But I also am not like, I for myself, I liked Ghostbusters Afterlife, I think, significantly more. That movie, to me,
For
was
sure.
definitely, there was that excitement of coming back to that original feel of the original film, and then just seeing the sort of nostalgia bits in that film, which I think my biggest issue here is I think that the nostalgia bits have worn off when I'd rather spend more time with the new characters, getting to know them, fleshing them out. Bill Murray's Venkman's my favorite character, so nobody take me the wrong way, but did not need to be in this movie. I'd rather him just have been cut out completely, especially when he was just going to show up whenever he wanted and not really care. Even though I love Venkman, he's my favorite of the Ghostbusters, just he might as well not have had him. I did think Dan Aykroyd did service the story very well, though. Ray Stantz was a very serviceable character to have back. Same with Winston. I think both of them did a great job serving the story. Aykroyd especially provided some very, very hilarious bits in this movie, but also a good amount of heart. I feel like Dan Aykroyd has just become Ray Stantz, so where does the character start and the actor end, or whatever you want to say? They're both the same guy at this point, so Aykroyd was just perfect for this world. It was a really good addition in the sense that, like, I mean, how funny it was, and I told you, there's like two things that the character of Ray does in this movie that I swear to God, I've seen my friend Mark do in real life that just really made me laugh. And he's so good in this movie. Finn Wolfhard too, kind of a reduced role in this one, and okay, I don't know if he was busy doing Stranger Things stuff or what, prepping for the latest season of that, because that's a possibility. But he also did have a reduced role. I definitely think the star of the show here is McKenna Grace, and I give her all the praise in the world. I think Paul Rudd was also equally as hilarious as he was in Afterlife, and brought that character back in a very consistent manner. A lot of his bits made me laugh. A new addition was Kumail Nanjiani, who I love seeing pop up and
Oof.
stuff, and he was, oh my gosh, hilarious in every moment that he got, and I thought he ate it up. I personally, I gotta say, I had a lot of fun with this movie. Action packed. It's the most like amount of ghost busting we've had in a Ghostbusters, if that makes sense. Like, and I did miss a little bit of like what Jason Reitman and his father before him, Ivan Reitman, had brought to the franchise in the originals and both Afterlife, with just kind of slowing down and focusing on character a little bit more. Even though we get some of that here, it's not as even. I guess it felt a little uneven here, if anything, and I didn't feel like each character got a chance to shine had the way they would have had Jason Reitman or Ivan Reitman directed the film. The late great Ivan Reitman, rest in peace. And I feel like because both of them just, they understand this world, more than most. I did enjoy the movie. That's not to say I didn't. I think it's a worthy entry of the Ghostbusters franchise. It's better than Paul Feig's. It's right on par with me with right on par with Ghostbusters 2 for me. I would maybe put it there. I think Ghostbusters 2 and this movie are pretty neck and neck. I maybe 2 gets the edge just a little bit more because I've had more time to sit with that one as opposed to this one is fresh to me and brand new. So did I hate the movie? No. Did I dislike the movie? No. Is the movie amazing? No. It's just pretty good. I just think I had a good time with it despite all the issues. And there is one scene in there too. You might know what I'm talking about, Jose. It involves McKenna Grace's character. It's very cool. It has to do with visuals and sound design. And I was like, oh, I've never seen that in a Ghostbusters before. That was neat. And so Gil Kenan, he did bring some new elements to it, I must say. And I just felt like this one, it had good story, and I liked the family aspect of it, but I did feel like this one sometimes leaned a little more spectacle than I would have liked. Even though some of the spectacle is very cool, very fresh, very new. Fun watch, absolutely. If you like the Ghostbusters, you actually are probably going to have a blast with it. Honestly, it's very fun. It's just, and it keeps that tone for the most part. I just, again, wish we had the slowed down character moments. There was some people I was hoping would show up, maybe people from the past that don't show up. I'm not going to say who or what. Yeah, and also I did find the post-credit scene to be redundant. I don't think you really need to stay for it, or the mid-credit scene, whatever you want to call it. I don't think it's not worth your time. It doesn't really set up anything significant to me. Yeah, man, I just found the nostalgic bits to wear off in this one. Like, I thought the magic of the nostalgia wore off. Like, how many Stay Puft bits do we need? You know what I mean? Like, it's another one in this movie, just as you'd expect. And when it came up, I wasn't excited about it. I was just like, okay, we've seen this now. It's played out, and things like that they just tried to keep going back to. I was like, oh, come on, that grew pretty tired for me. Jose, where are you at with the Ghostbusters Frozen Empire?
I mean, I second basically everything you said. I enjoyed it. I had a good time with it.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't amazing, but it wasn't like a bad watch either. Like, I enjoyed it. And I will say this, that Bill Murray delivered one of my favorite lines. I think it made me laugh when he said it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a spoiler. It's not a spoiler because it was said in the trailer, and it was when he was like, tall, dark, and horny at 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
That
great line.
That made me laugh when
line.
It was a great line. I really liked it. But yeah, I do think that he was kind of wasted. Like, he wasn't really in it that much. He didn't really do much. The other one I would say that didn't really do much was Celeste O'Connor. She kind of just was there. And most of the other character actors and characters in this one as well, they didn't really do much.
Right.
This was really more centered around McKenna Grace's character, which I enjoyed because she's talented. Was the standout in this. She stood out in this one. Like, she was astounding. She put the performance of her life in this movie. Like, it was amazing. It was incredible. I thought the stuff with her mom was pretty intense. I like that stuff as well.
I agree.
And when Paul Rudd's character, when he tried coming in and doing stuff, it was also he kind of brought like a comedic aspect to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which I thought was refreshing.
Yeah,
pretty intense. I won't lie. It was some really intense scenes in this movie.
I agree.
But then also some comedic scenes as well, especially with Kumail Nanjiani. I thought he was honestly the funniest in this entire movie, and I liked having that in it. I would agree that I preferred Afterlife a lot more.
Yeah,
because I feel like the first one brought more of that original Ghostbusters than this one. Because like you said, Bustin' makes me feel
right.
They've been busting for a while, so it didn't have that same kind of original feel to it. For what it did, I did enjoy it. I thought it was really good.
Yeah. Now that you said Bustin' makes me feel good, that part in the trailer, it felt incredibly stupid in the trailer to me, but when it played in the movie, I gotta admit, it was pretty funny. Like, in context, it was a lot better. It
made me laugh.
A
Yeah,
lot better in context. Yeah. So I enjoyed that as well. And as you said, Paul Rudd, yes, bringing a lot of comedy into it. Every time we see Paul Rudd too, he also proves he's just a really good actor too. Like, just he doesn't have to be funny. And like lately, I've been seeing that even though his movies, he hasn't been the best roles of his life or best movies of his life. His roles, he is showing like a lot of range as an actor lately, and this one is no exception to that. There was a little bit of range in there that I really enjoyed seeing from him. And when he does one thing in particular that's kind of teased toward the beginning, I was like, damn, he really like pulled that off a little more intense than I was expecting. I thought it was going to be played for laughs, and it actually was like, oh damn, like he pulled it off. Like, yeah, good stuff. And as far as the tone, as as you were saying, like the intensity of it, like it's the darkest since the first one. There's no doubt about that. Like the first one's definitely dark. I mean, you got some like demonic stuff happening in there and stuff in the first movie, especially with what's going on with Sigourney Weaver's character. They brought that darkness in there for sure. But this one is the darkest since the first Ghostbusters, I would say, and I really enjoyed seeing that played back into it for sure. Again, though, I just wish that the tone, as you were saying, if I'm just going to go back into my biggest overall issue with that the tone was just a little bit more slowed down and fleshed out and paced out as the original was, like Afterlife was, and the original two were, I should say, and like Afterlife was, and because I just enjoy that slowed down tone as opposed to the go the faster, more intense approaches George Lucas would put it, right? So I yeah. So yeah, that's great, because like Jason Reitman's movie Afterlife, I felt like was like a mixture of an independent movie with that he would usually do, but with the spectacle of Ghostbusters, as opposed to, it's just not as balanced here. That's what I would say. Sorry, it sounded like you were going to cut in there really quick.
You know, I was going to say too that if you remember Emily Allen Lind, her character,
yes,
what she played,
pretty good.
She was really good. Yeah, she was really good too.
Yeah, I forgot to mention her because she was very good in this movie. Her and McKenna Grace get some really good scenes together and great chemistry. Although I had a few issues of the logic behind that whole thing, because there's a part, okay, so Patton Oswalt's in this movie, and he has the scene that's like, it's just all exposition. And I did not enjoy that. The plot got a little muddled during that whole thing, and the pacing really kind of dragged in a not so good way during that whole thing. The exposition dump I could have done without. I wished it was just planted throughout the film rather than having, oh, here's one big long scene to explain everything that's going on. And I thought that was like, okay, I don't like that. Luckily,
so
though,
we basically already knew about, basically, as audience members,
right? And as a testament to the movie, it luckily got me back on board. The pacing picked up again, and thank God Kumail Nanjiani's in this movie to do that, because he was very good. Like you said, I mean, his comedic timing is perfect in this, and it was great to see him in a role this strong again. I would say, like, even though the movie's not nearly as good, it's his strongest role, I think, since The Big Sick. So I was happy to see that. Like I enjoyed him in other things. Like I liked him in Eternals and things like that. But to see him in this, where he can really just bring his brand of humor to it, I thought was pretty good. And it was a strong role for him. It was written well for him. He improv'd it well, or however he approached it. He just did a really good job. They gave him a good amount of screen time, and he brought it. He was super, super funny. The sex dungeon bit just killed me. I thought that was incredible. So yeah, guys, overall, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up and give it a grade here. I think that you should go see it. I genuinely do. I'll give it a might go. If you like the Ghostbusters, probably go see it. You'll probably have a blast with it if you like the originals. If you're more of a fan of the Paul Feig Ghostbusters, which I know some people are, this one's probably not going to be your brand of humor. It's a different brand of humor for sure than the Paul Feig Ghostbusters, but who knows, maybe you'll enjoy it anyway. If you just like Ghostbusters in general, you should probably go, but I'll still give it a might watch. Those of you out there are not Ghostbusters fans, or more of the brand of humor of the Paul Feig Ghostbusters, maybe, yeah, this one might not be for you. And I had issues with it throughout, so even though I did enjoy it. Jose, where are you going with this?
I'm gonna agree with you, saying might go. Just for the same reasons. Like, if you're a Ghostbusters fan, go and watch it. If you're not really a Ghostbusters fan and you're not too sure about it, then you can honestly just wait till it comes out on a streaming service and watch it at home.
Yeah.
But I still enjoyed it, and like you said, I also had some problems with it, but I mean, overall, I did have fun with it, and I did enjoy it.
I'll even add a caveat to that too, really quick. I think if you like the original Ghostbusters and you're a purist, this one's probably not going to be for you. But if you like Ghostbusters 2, this one's a little bit more akin to that one. The original Ghostbusters 2, it's a little more akin to that.